I'm Iain Forsyth, this is Jane Pollard, and we've worked together as artists for pretty much 20 years, almost to the day.
We make video work predominantly. We also work with live events and installation art.
We don't know what we're dealing with here at all. We don't know what the energies are, the pressures, the kind of the drivers.
I guess there's been a number of kind of key influences, if you like, on the piece. One of the biggest was some research we did about a religious sect, I suppose is the only word you could really use to fairly describe them. But it was kind of a branch of Methodism that developed about 200 years ago and developed in Cornwall and then spun out around the country, became very popular in Wales and eventually travelled to America, which essentially involved people feeling that they had become so overwhelmed in their act of worship that the only thing they could do to release that energy was to jump. So they became colloquially known as the jumpers. So just as Quakers quake and Shakers shake.
I think that the most interesting thing about it for us was that from the reports of it was the idea of kind of the group, the psychology of the group, and what happens when a group of people kind of influence each other and are kind of willing participants in something. And that became our starting point. How do we work with a group of people, and rather than work with actors or dancers and simply ask them to mimic something or enact something, we wanted to go back to a kind of more risky kind of position of just a group of people who come with an open mind, and we don't know whether we're going to be able to in some way instigate this feeling in them or not, but let's just experiment and see what happens. So we set about working with about 35 strangers for over the course of a day. We brought in a hypnotherapist to kind of facilitate the sort of group exercises, an amazing guy called Meredith Vivian. And then working with him and working with our crew, we began to set this day up where there were kind of getting to know you exercises and then group exercises. And then eventually the group went through a kind of relaxation process, kind of sort of hypnosis into then sort of using this kind of group power thing of joining hands. And for us, that particular element became visually definitely the most interesting.
I think the sense of release as well was also something that you see echoed very readily in contemporary culture. If you go to a gig or a nightclub or a football terrace or almost anywhere that people gather in any sort of number, invariably, at least at some stage in that event, you will see these moments of just excitement and energy just tipping over into these almost uncontrollable outbursts of thought becoming action.